There we go. There we go. Now you play that. Good morning, Kansas City. This is what we call Canelo Weekend on the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Stephen St. John, Nate Bukaty, Jake Gutierrez. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have Stan Weber in studio. We'll have Jeff Penner giving us a very important weather update, not only for today but for the weekend. Brand new AD at Mizzou, Laird Veach, will join us. Get his thoughts on the end of that Knicks 76ers game. How about that? That was a game. That was a game. Brunson 41, Embiid 39. Had that dunk where Embiid got D's nuts. Did you see that? About 2.5 left? Yeah. He balled out, though, man. He balled out.
Got him! Got him!
Jalen Brunson, a 40-point, 10-assist game to clinch the series. First person ever to do that on the road. Only 3 others have done that, at least 40 points and 10 assists to clinch a series. Who are they? 3 players. Since 1989. He's the first one to do it on the road.
Jordan?
Yeah. There you go. End of list. End of list.
I'm still letting Nate have that one.
Right. I didn't even see the others. It was Devin Booker, and who was the other one? Oh, Chris Paul. But to do that, to do it on the road, that was I don't know how much people are paying attention to the NBA playoffs, but that was a good, dramatic, emotional series. Anytime you put a couple of teams in there from New York and Philadelphia had a big lead, looked like they were going to win, and extend that series. I like the way the Knicks play. I'm not here to start being a champion of New York sports teams, but I like to watch them play. I like Brunson. I like a lot of guys on the team. I like their style of basketball. I like to watch them play. So I was rooting for them. Might have to take a shower afterwards, rooting for a New York team, but I like the Knicks. That was a fun game last night. Did you guys watch any of it?
I got it on in the fourth quarter.
Oh, did you? With who?
Yeah. Wow. I got the TV. Oh. I turned the TV on in the fourth quarter. So
a lot of emotion in that series. I like that.
Yeah. The Philly fans going after Embiid after the game.
No.
Chanting blank Embiid.
Wow. Why?
I think he's not winning in the playoffs. Look.
I didn't know it was 1-on-5.
Right. Well, it depends on which players we're talking about, Well, some players it's about them, and other players it's about the team, I mean, look, he's been the guy on that team, and they've cycled a lot of different players through there to try to win with them, and it hasn't worked. So I guess after a while, the fans turn on you.
It probably makes them mad that New York has surpassed them. That what I mean?
Yeah. They look like they had this window. He was playing at an MVP level, and
he hasn't been right. I mean he's just coming off that injury. He's not 100%.
Yeah, he doesn't look nearly as mobile as he usually does, right? But he still went for 39.
I feel like I'd boo someone else last night. But.
And I think that's probably why they're frustrated.
And hey, look, I'm not getting that deep into it. I'm just telling you that was a very high emotion, dramatic game last night. That was fun.
Game 5 and 6 were awesome.
Yeah.
That was fun basketball to watch. And so
the Nova Knicks.
The NBA doesn't always, hit the spot for me, but last night was good.
Pat Beverly hit the spot last night.
A couple times.
I like that, the Nova Knicks. I like that.
Yeah, 4 guys from Villanova. I mean, that.
And there's a little like a little old guy basketball to him. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I like it.
Well, I mean, they completely changed the chemistry of that team with, adding the guys that have obviously played together and get along, and that's. I think you saw that the difference in the culture between those two teams.
Enjoyable basketball to watch.
Yeah. I like playoff basketball.
It's great. Especially when you get into game 5s and
Do you
6s.
gamble on that at all?
No.
Why not?
NBA is so tough. I mean,
Is it?
it is for me. I mean, a 20-point lead is like a 8 or 10-point lead back in the day.
Much like the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, Philly thought they had it won, but they didn't.
Man.
You know. Are Philly fans worse than New York fans?
Well, define worse. I mean, I think
More
they have
abrasive?
they're harder maybe on their teams even than New York fans are. New York fans might disagree with that, but I mean, Philly fans boo Santa Claus. We know that.
Yeah, they cheer a motionless Michael Irvin on the field.
But you know what? Look, at the end of the day, at least here in Kansas City, it's about winning championships.
That's right.
Nothing else matters.
Well,
But I mean, if
they
like you're
struggled to fill that place with Philly fans last
right,
night.
but I mean you're going pretty. I guess last year it was a debacle at the end, but the Eagles have had a nice run.
Yep.
The Phillies are one of baseball's best. I mean, it's all right.
It's a good sports town.
You're okay.
Their teams are always like competitive. It seems like.
They got beat last night, though. I can tell you that.
They did. New York. I don't know about Knicks fans. I mean, life as a Knicks fan hasn't been great.
No, but I mean, like, how much you want to embrace this basketball team,
Right.
especially after last night?
Yeah, they deserve.
All
I mean, their
fired up.
fan base deserves it. After
Yeah.
everything they've been through.
I used to root for the Knicks when they played Jordan.
Right.
Me too.
I used to like.
Back when they had John Starks and all those guys.
I was a Charles Oakley.
Yeah,
I
the Oak
liked
Tree.
Charles Oakley.
He was a stud.
I like Ewing, but Charles Oakley did it for me. He scratched my itch.
Yeah.
And see, and that, not to get in this debate then, but like, where's like now, like Charles Oakley just to come in and beat someone's ass?
Yeah.
Right in front of the ref.
And it's like every team had one of those guys.
Right.
Yeah.
If you think about some of the things he did,
Well, I mean,
it would lead every sports debate show on ESPN. Should Charles Oakley be banned from the NBA? I mean, he was a stud, though. I mean, he was a good player, but I mean, enforcers than what we're looking for. There were enforcers all over the league that took it too far, but
they
you like
ordered
that
that
kind of
line.
thing, yeah.
They rode that line.
that's right.
Then the NBA decided we don't want this kind of basketball, so they moved where the line was.
Right.
Well.
Maybe too much. Maybe there's a happy medium. I don't know. Last night was good, though. After we talked to Laird Veach, the new AD at Mizzou. Nice job, Jake. How have you been working on that one?
A little bit now.
Yeah.
Got it done.
Stan will have plenty to say about Laird Veach. Former stud football player at K-State.
That's right. I'm excited to hear the new AD. Get him on the airwaves for the first time in Kansas City.
Really? Good job out of you.
Right here.
Mike McFarland will be on after Laird Veach. And then Tim Grunhard on the phone. It's quite a surprise, but Timmy back on the road. So, but you know what? That's a man about town. I will give him a massive amount of credit because he was there at Challenger Fashion, dressed to the nines with his lovely wife, Sarah, along with Mike and Lisa Boddicker. And they came through and donated their time and efforts to a great cause, the Challenger programs at the YMCA of Greater Kansas City, and it was a great event. And, I asked Timmy to be there. I asked Mike Boddicker to be there. I asked Les Norman to be there. And all three were there, dressed impeccably, and they all strutted their stuff on the runway. So Timmy can be on the show from wherever he wants. He came through in a pinch, because I pinched him. I said, please be there.
Hey,
And then at 9:30, Kevin Iole from KevinIole.com. Back at it again. Probably sick and tired of Jake calling him, hey, Kevin, can we have you on real quick? St. John's getting goofy on me. Canelo's fighting on Saturday. Can we talk about Oscar De La Hoya? Can we talk about lawsuits? Can we talk about this and that? So, we'll talk about the fight. But Oscar De La Hoya did issue a cease and desist letter to Canelo yesterday over what he says are defamatory allegations that Oscar stole money from former champion Gennady Golovkin, known to you and yours as Triple G. So,
I like Triple G.
yeah, he also sued De La Hoya in 2022, seeking $3 million he believed that he was owed from De La Hoya. So, Canelo's not the only one that thinks that, apparently. Triple G thinks that, too. You know? Boy, I'd give a good chunk of change to see Canelo punch Oscar right in the mouth. That's just me. I bet Canelo would like it, too. But he can't damage those precious hands before a big fight.
I think a lot of people would enjoy that.
Yeah.
Triple G would applaud that.
I think some people that work at Golden Boy would appreciate that at this point. So there it is. So that's a full show playing for you. Royals are back in action against the defending champs, the Texas Rangers, out at Kauffman Stadium. Look, I'm just going to tell you, I don't know what the weather's going to do. I don't know what's going on in Kansas City. And I understand that there is a necessity for rain at times, but this is enough. My wife was cursing at the rain last night because we get water in the basement. And for some people, just like, no, there's nothing you could do. Like, there's this breaking point, and there's just so much water that just, it is what it is, man. And it's like, okay, enough. Can we stop this? Can we chill out for a moment? So we'll see if Jeff Penner can push any buttons to get this done. And I got stuff to do in the outdoors, all right? Tonight, Richie, who of course is my son, is the bass player for Dola White. They're headlining a show outdoors at Grinders, one of the best venues to watch a concert. Jake was recently there watching 311. You never told me if you enjoyed meeting my man John from Illicit. He texted me and said he enjoyed his time with you.
We've been texting since then. John's great.
You seem
John
like
is great.
Whenever I've had lunch with him, I said, I've got to make this meeting happen because
you did, and it was.
You guys
it did not disappoint.
Yeah, I've never. If there was ever a way I could go on DraftKings and say I will bet that these two will hit it off and be friends, I would. You ever meet someone and you say, oh, like if St. John ever met him, they would get along perfectly.
Two of the guys, awesome.
My man John and Jake, I would talk. I just, he goes, yeah, and I'm really I'm thinking about getting into cold tubs. I go, what, are you, am I being trolled here? Is this, what do you just, you guys are very similar.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad I could make you guys meet and get together at 3.
Met his lovely wife who's from Colorado,
And he just talked about how excited he was to go to 311. I was like, yeah, you're my alter Jake. So I'm glad that happened.
Cut from the same cloth.
I was texting him. He's out in New Jersey right now in business. He was texting me last night. And he goes, man, I really enjoyed meeting Jake. Let's bring him next time we have lunch. I go, maybe we'll sit in the cold tub and eat. I don't know.
We are already planning on getting workouts in together.
I bet you are.
I mean, he just finished 75 hard, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
You better explain
75
that
straight days of working out twice a day.
Yeah.
It's called the 75 Hard Challenge.
Yeah.
And he had just finished it.
Yeah.
It's something I have on my list of to-dos.
I just finished 4 easy. Which is 4 days of not doing a whole lot. So.
I think I'm on that path too, on that program.
But I was impressed. He's like, man, I just finished 75 hard. I was like, damn, dude.
Our man from Illicit and From the Earth, wonderful partners of Sports Radio 810 WHB and the Border Patrol. Thank you.
It was awesome because we met and we're sitting there talking, and then it's like right when we were about 5-10 minutes in the conversation, 311 walked on stage, and we're just like, perfect.
And then you cried tears of joy.
Yeah, we did.
You're like, oh, wait a minute. Hey, this is only the 48th time I've seen him. Let me watch.
And they never disappoint.
Right. That's right. So anyway, I'll be there tonight at that wonderful outdoor venue.
Should be a beautiful night.
Watching Disco Dick and the Mirror Balls and the Zeros And then Dolomite featuring Richie St. John on bass. It's a decade show, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Love it.
All ages show. And so
Great show.
Selena St. John has forced her way into the conversation tonight because she doesn't normally get to see Dolomite because it's usually, at a bar that's 21 and over.
Yeah.
And
Well, that'll be great.
Richie came over last night and he was talking to Phil. And Phil goes, "You're going, right?" Phil goes, "No." And Richie goes, "Are you serious? Why? This is like, they've sold like 1,500 tickets. Why? This is going to be a big show." "Well, I can go to any one of your concerts now. I'm 21. This isn't a big deal." I said, "Well,
Ha! Nothing like brotherly love.
He's right in a way. He can." So yeah, go get your tickets. Grinders KC. How about that?
It'll be a great show. Beautiful night. Grinders is an awesome venue.
Commercial. Look, Canelo. No, I hit him in the mouth. Sorry, Jaime Munguia. Not rooting for you this time. Talked to Kevin Ioli about that. And then tomorrow I need good weather in Plattsburgh because we've got the district championship track meet. And Julia is in the long jump 100 and 4x100. So just let the sun shine for a little bit for these kids. It's for the kids and also for the parents, please. Give us some dry times. But that's a big weekend. And then we're going to get together and watch the fight and have a little gathering for Phil's 21st, delayed, because we wanted to have it on the Canelo fight. And so nothing like getting his friends together and then some of his, as we call, quote-unquote, uncles together and teach Phil all about gambling on his 21st birthday.
Break out the poker chips.
Right.
Get a hold'em tournament going.
Phil, let's talk about props.
You're old enough.
Right. Let's talk about betting on a specific outcome for a fight and why the odds are higher. Oh, you gonna play poker?
Yeah.
Okay, because they play poker.
Let's get some poker
You
chips
get in
out.
that. You gotta, I gotta oversee things. So you get in there.
I got a poker face.
Yeah. Just don't finish that. Just leave it alone. Leave it all alone, buddy. But yeah, go Royals. Got lots of stuff to root for. Lots of stuff to talk about. Very exciting. Also I don't know how much news this is. This didn't surprise me. I guess nothing should surprise me anymore, but the Chiefs declined to exercise the fifth-year option on wide receiver Kadarius Toney's contract, according to sources. So that gives him one more season remaining on the deal he signed with the Giants as a first-round pick in 2021. He was then traded to the Chiefs. They have talked him up quite a bit in the offseason after many assumed that he would no longer be part of their plans. But, he's affordable right now. They could, as Jesse Newell's pointed out and everything else, you could use him and see what he's got, but you sure as hell ain't going to exercise the fifth-year option on him. That wasn't going to happen. So that's not a big shock, right? Nobody thought.
I wasn't really sure what to expect
I'm good.
because I didn't think he'd be coming back at all.
Yeah, but you're not going to pay him the money that
Yeah.
is necessary with a fifth-year option.
Yeah.
It all makes more sense to me, after I've had time to digest it.
Well, if you're wondering if he's still battling injury, no, he's not. Just listen to him.
I'm good.
Well, that clears all that up.
I'm good.
To remind you, Brett Veach said before the draft, I don't think we ever stopped believing in him. I think people around the building like him. It's the injury bug. Hopefully, he gets some luck on his side, can stay healthy, and can be the player that he was at Florida and the player we've seen in spurts here.
I love it.
I'm just hoping he has a good offseason and has a little luck on his side and can stay healthy. And see, now they're not parading him around as the number one wide receiver option.
Right.
Now that they've got Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown and whatever games that Rashee Rice will be available, if you tell me, hey, we might think he could be something as our fifth wide receiver and a return guy, all right, hey, reasonable price, see what you got there. Go ahead. What's it going to hurt you? As long as they're good with him, as long as the teammates are happy with him and the coaching staff, doesn't matter what we think. Doesn't matter that Nate's dead set against him. But you've softened your stance. Now you welcome him into Chiefs Kingdom again.
We're practicing radical acceptance around here, right? Nate?
Yeah, radical acceptance. It's
Control what you get to control.
right.
He's gonna be on this team, probably.
Now, don't ever show me highlights from the Lions game,
Yeah.
or I'll get all pissed off again.
I don't know how much that had to do with injuries. The different times that he.
What, did somebody stab him in the hands before the game?
Well, I will say about
My God, that would you think that would make the news? If
he
it
wasn't
did.
right
Yeah.
all preseason, and then he probably shouldn't have even been on the field at that point in time.
Yeah, and then the New England game, where he
Well, that there's no excuse.
pushed
for
the ball up into the air
that's
to the
a
other
little
team.
different. I'm just saying, the first game of the season, hadn't practiced timing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hadn't practiced catching the ball when he was wide open.
No, I'm not trying to defend the guy. I'm just saying.
Look, he's on the team, whatever,
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
declined his options. So that's
Look,
it.
I mean, Veach isn't going to sit. I mean, what's he supposed to say? I mean,
He's saying exactly what he should be
It
saying.
makes business sense to keep him around as long as he's not a destructive force in the locker room. It makes sense to keep him around. It's not expensive. Let him fight for a job this year.
Maybe, hey, no expectations. He goes out and has some big plays for this team
Sure,
next year.
why not? One guy he won't be battling with for a roster spot, one guy he won't have to face when it comes down to the roster crunch down is DJ Chark, who is coming to the AFC West, but it'll be in Los Angeles to play for the Chargers, as he was one of the better wide receivers left on the free agent market. But he goes to a place that is in need of receivers even more than the Chiefs, and that's the Chargers. They did draft Lad McConkey, but after trading Keenan Allen, releasing Mike Williams, and letting Gerald Everett and Austin Eckler leave in free agency, good God, that's a lot. Wow. A lot of targets, a lot of catches that walked out the door. They needed some targets for Justin Herbert, so they drafted McConkey, and they signed Shark. The Chargers have no receiver with more than 3 years in the NFL, and none of whom has had a season over 800 yards, so very youthful and unproven.
And John Harbaugh is not the type of guy to throw the ball all over the field anyways.
What about Jim Harbaugh? What's he do?
He doesn't do that either. How many times
It'd be weird if they base what they sign on what the Ravens do. Well, my brother doesn't like to throw the ball, so
that will not be the last time I do that.
But he is bringing.
Lamar
in,
Jackson really isn't.
Yeah, neither one of them like
Look,
to do
if
that.
you were wondering if they were going to bring maybe a different brand of football,
No.
you had the number 5 pick, Malik Neighbors, or bring in Alt. We're going to bring. We have a left tackle, Alt.
Yep.
Hey, we don't Alt. We could get a Alt. So, and they were real happy with it.
Yeah. They should be.
And they should be, yeah. And that's what he does. And so, Jim
Thank you.
Harbaugh is going to have a very tough, physical, well-coached, smart football team in L.A.
That's just hard to picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
but
it's
that's
like
what
the
it's gonna be.
Chargers are going to be those things.
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And he's already building an incredible offensive line. He's got a very good quarterback. We don't know how good, but he's very good, very talented quarterback to build around. And now he's trying to add some weapons. And you know how I love McConkey. I thought that was a great draft pick for them. So it makes sense. Go out and get your quarterback, one of the few veteran receivers out there that can come in and actually makes some plays. You like him, so you see,
Yeah,
you understand.
I mean, I don't. Yeah,
It's
he's
easy
a
deal.
solid. He's a solid wide receiver. I feel like he's not like you're bringing him in to be your number one. or
1
something.
year, I think
Yeah.
the deal could be worth
Yeah.
up to $5 million. That's what you do.
It seems like they're doing good business in Los Angeles.
Low risk and he can give you some reward.
Yeah,
You know,
and they need, like you said, they need targets.
yeah, he's going someplace where he can play a meaningful role. So you could absolutely see why he'd want to go there.
Yeah.
With a good quarterback throwing him the football. So there you go. There's what's happening right now. Stan Ware will be in with us after this. It's the Border Patrol, people, on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Welcome back to the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Stephen St. John, Nate Bukaty, Jake Gutierrez, and Stan Weber with us. Stan, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. Beautiful day coming up.
Weather-wise?
Yes.
Hopefully, yes.
No, today's
Oh,
going to be
good.
great.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm waiting to hear what Jeff has to say, but I'm hopeful that today's going to be very beautiful.
That's right. Fingers crossed. For Jeff Penner at 8 o'clock. All right, Stan, before we get into reviewing the NFL draft and some other topics, we're going to have Laird Veach on the show at 8:05, the new AD at Mizzou. And so I need you to tell me everything we need to know about Laird Veach, please.
Number 54, linebacker. Good player. Solid, smart. Probably going to have a good career if he wants to get into athletics.
Right.
No, it's been fun to watch his career. One of the things that is kind of behind the scenes is that when you have, I've done 37 years of K-State's radio broadcasts, and behind the scenes, what you don't know is, or you may know, but it doesn't matter to a lot of people, is that someone buys the rights from K-State, gives them a ton of money, and says, we have your exclusive rights to play the games on radio, etc. And even more, maybe stadium advertising and a lot of things like that. Well, this little company near Columbia, Missouri, within an hour in Jeff City, was called Learfield. And they started into the industry, and Missouri was a property that they got. So they got the rights to Mizzou, which makes a lot of sense right there, hometown team. And then they started to grab another team and another team. And right now, unbelievably, Learfield has the vast majority of every college rights today. There was a time when there were 10 Big 12 schools, and all 10 schools were Learfield for a year or so. Now the conference keeps changing, and things change. So this company called Learfield is who I, for instance, would sign a contract with and say, I'm going to work for Learfield because Learfield has the rights to do the K-State games. That's kind of the business side of it. Where Laird Veach worked at Learfield for a long time. So I knew Laird through the Learfield side of things. And then back into athletic administration, he came over and he was at K-State and actually worked in the athletic department. He was the interim athletic director for a little while at the end of kind of an academic year, because June 30th is the end of their financial year, and July 1st is the new year to most universities' athletic departments. So he was the interim athletic director for a while. Then he went to Florida, I believe.
Yes.
And that was a good department to work in. We've seen a lot of guys. Gene Taylor is the athletic director at K-State. He was the athletic director at North Dakota State. He left that job and became the number 2 guy at Iowa for a while. And then you learn another level of information, and then you come back and you become the athletic director at K-State. Well, Laird Veach did a little bit of that. He went to Florida, which is not just his hometown, not right in the middle of Missouri, not right here at his home school, K-State, but off to Florida and see a little bit what's going on there in the SEC, which primed him to be what? The AD at Memphis. And that's a whole different world. They're not a Power 5, or now we should start calling them Power 4 schools. Are we going to start? Today's our first day to say Power 4 conference.
Let's do it.
Because that's going to be the new thing. I've just read that, so I know it's been being said now. Because the Pac-12
Goodbye, Pac-12.
on June 30th, the Pac-12 will be done.
Right.
Well, not officially, because the two teams can still wave the flag, but it's Power 4 conferences. So Laird Veach has been the AD at Memphis. So getting training as an actual AD preps him for an opportunity to do what? Basically come back home, because he was right there in Jeff City and Learfield, which they're so tied in with Mizzou and the connectivity. His wife says, hey, let's go to dinner. Drive up to Mizzou and have dinner. So he knows all about what he's getting into, and I think that's very helpful as a Missouri fan. When you think about your athletic director, this guy knows this part of the country. He knows the Missouri fans, but he's also had experience now as an athletic director. He's worked in an athletic department at Florida in the Southeastern Conference, so he knows the people that make it there. I think it's a great choice. I'm very happy for him, because to me, when I said in 37 years, that means I was there and broadcast every one of his games. So you can imagine when I first met him, he was a 18-year-old kid trying to make it under Bill Snyder's football team, all the way through now watching his career and all these different aspects. And I show up and, hey, we're together, working together because we're at a Learfield meeting. And all of a sudden, not long after that, we're working together because we're at a K-State event. And so, yeah, I know Laird Veach very well. super solid guy, great family. Mizzou's going to be very happy to have someone like this leading them.
He was a starter on K-State's Copper and Aloha Bowl teams in 93 and 94. And
That's
earned
Bill Snyder's first 2 bowls.
honorable mention All Big 8 conference honors in 1994. And he said,
Did he wear number 54? Did I have that right and printed in my brain?
I don't have that, but I'm gonna guess you're correct on that.
I don't know. It just pops in my head when you said his name. I go, oh, number 54.
He did mention, he said he still has that linebacker mentality buried in there somewhere, so I like that.
Yeah, the physicality.
Right.
Don't mess with him.
Basically, he's telling people he'll hit someone if he has to, and I like it. And like you said, you look at everywhere he's been. He's worked at Texas, Iowa State, K-State for 7 years, Florida, and then he was GM of Mizzou Sports Properties for 4 years, and then regional vice president for Learfield Sports in Missouri from 2006 to 2010. And then after all those experiences, became the AD at Memphis. And so he's done it all. And so a great body of work there.
Because at Memphis, you get a lot of good experience because you have to work with the city to get something done at that type of university. You don't have the money flowing in that we're used to with the big schools we talk about here.
You got to work on FedEx.
The Liberty Bowl needs work. I mean, it is an old stadium, but has some fame to it because the Liberty Bowl is one of the most famous bowls that's lasted for a long time. So they want upgrades. That's where they play their home games. So for him to be involved in a project where they have to have upgrades to a stadium that's used for a bowl game, city-owned, and is a big part of Memphis football, that is hurting cats. Oh, do we know a little bit about that in Jackson County and Chiefs and Royals issues? So anyway, he's gone through that, which when you're at Mizzou, you're always going to have building projects. It's always going to be, how do you fundraise? He understands where the money people are from an advertising point of view. When he ran the Learfield Network at Mizzou, guess what the most important thing he needed to do there was get connectivity so that they get advertisers. Because when they buy the rights, to finish my story, I guess, when you buy the rights from Mizzou or K-State in your Learfield, you go out and make money by charging enough for the advertising rates to get more income than you pay the university. But it's on you to do that. So it is important to know who's interested enough to invest in the radio network for Mizzou, football, basketball. Those are the same people that are going to be likely important people when you're the athletic director to go talk to. So the fact that he has that experience at Missouri and knows all of those people, and then at K-State he was in a fundraising arm. You know, he wasn't sitting up there as the AD saying, I think the head coach needs to be, or here's my 3 best candidates. If, you know, Bill Snyder retires, I'm going to, here's my, no. He was out with the people trying to fundraise. Well, how big a deal is that right now? Because the fundraising pressure on a coach or an athletic department and an athletic director are off the charts, because not only do you want to build facilities and have scholarships and those kind of dollars, now it's flat out NIL. So you're going and asking these people, Steven, he's calling Steven again. Steven, I know you gave a lot of money for that North End football project after we've built the South End football project at Mizzou, but I really need a little NIL money.
And Steven's like, that's nothing to me.
Right.
Here you go.
Right.
How much you
Because
need?
Nate does it for KU, so I got to do it for Mizzou, so no problem.
By the way, photographic evidence does say that Laird Veach was number 54.
Correct.
And it also stands out to me how much bigger the shoulder pads were in the 90s than they are now. Remember how big shoulder pads were back then?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's a lot more room for them. The jerseys are a lot bigger, therefore, so there's a lot more room to put patches and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, he was 50. You had it right, number 54. The thing you were saying about the Learfield stuff, too, is when it comes to the athletic department raising money, most of the TV rights and everything comes from the Big 12. It's all bundled in, but your third-tier stuff, that's one of your biggest revenue generators on campus. And so you got to maximize everything you can out of how much you're getting from Learfield for your rights, and he's going to be one of those guys that absolutely knows that landscape. And
yeah, unfortunately for Learfield, he'll know exactly what they're thinking on the negotiations when Missouri's contract comes up.
Yeah. But he'll also know how to help them make sure they get their money's worth, you know.
Yeah, he'll know what's valuable to them. And
I was rewatching his opening press conference, and after he was introduced and came up there, I mean, like 10 seconds into his comments, he established that the most important thing is football, the success of the football program. Can't wait to get to work with you, Coach Drink. Like, there you go.
Yeah.
Like, don't even hesitate. He's letting you know. And let me tell you, that's one of the reasons he got hired.
Some people may think that's biased because he's been in the football world as a player under Bill Snyder,
truth.
but it's just the business realization.
It's true.
Oh, it's definitely true.
You know, and he was there with, Coach Pinkel, and Coach Pinkel was there with his wife, and he pointed out to Coach Pinkel.
He knows him.
Yeah, and so it was.
It's so much easier when you
yes.
go into a new job like that, and you're in such a important, focused role. I mean, the spotlight's on you. It's so hard when you walk in and you really don't know anybody, but you're supposed to act like, yeah, I'm in charge. Let's go. It is so much better for everybody that he actually knows who the players are.
Remarkable.
Coach Pinkel, whoever it is remarkable. It makes it so much better. He knows what he's getting into. That'll help him get up and running quicker and be more effective. But plus, he's just a good guy giving a great shot. I mean, 16 goals of Bill Snyder, entrenched in his brain, how to, just get a little bit better every day. And that's not even one of the 16 goals, by the way. No self-limitations, my favorite, number 12. Jake, you like that? No self-limitations.
It's a fact, Jack.
You got right there a youngster just graduated, 18 years old. Who knows what he's going to do? You're mentoring him right there in the
He's in
booth with you.
trouble.
And you know what? He needs to know no self-limitations.
That's right.
None.
He
I
can
love
do anything. You never know. I mean, Nate Bukaty's sitting here in the studio with us.
I want to
Just the fact that I'm sitting here, it already shows.
He wants to hear all 16 of them at some point.
Yeah, we'll go have lunch.
Would you sit him down and go through them or not?
Yeah, you obviously have them memorized.
The players did have to memorize those.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my son Stanton, that was one of the things. But Bill Snyder, when he first got here and he laid out the goals, he literally would spend hours. Like he may spend 30 minutes on one goal, splitting each hair. When Laird Veach was there, that's what it was like.
Yeah.
I mean, when K-State was not good at football, he started from the ground up with these things. And he didn't just say no self-limitations. He would talk about a half hour about how that applied to your life, your story, and this football team.
And obviously, if you put them into action in your life, you become successful. And clearly, that's what Laird Veach probably has done.
Yes. So can't wait to tell him hi for me, if that's
I will.
okay. I don't know if that's on or off the air.
I need a football
Laird, if you're
story.
listening, I know you can hear us all the way to Columbia.
Between
Congratulations.
now and then, give me a little football anecdote or something I could throw at him, about his football career. If you think about it, and then I'll say, hey, Stan Weber was here,
Well,
and he
the big
reminded
thing
us
is
of
the
this.
floodgates opened in 1993. Bill Snyder had been the coach since 1989, but he was there in 1993 when K-State went to the Copper Bowl, and everything exploded. The fans came out in giant numbers, and they put on a giant show. They beat Wyoming. Kevin Harlan was there calling one of the first games ever for ESPN. I think Craig James was with them, and they put on a show and went to 11 straight bowls. And he was there at the first one, though, busting through that level of excellence. The joy of playing. It was at the University of Arizona. And what that did and launched K-State football, he was there. I mean, when you were at that couple years there and then busting through that night, it was like a scripted show. K-State was all over ESPN highlights, just running over Wyoming. Unbelievable interception returns for touchdowns, punt returns for touchdowns, unbelievable Chad May play. That was K-State's first bowl since when I played in 1982, and the second ever. He was there.
What's great is he was there, and obviously in different capacities, but he was there when Bill Snyder turned K-State football around, and he was there when Gary Pinkel turned Mizzou football around.
Yeah, he knows what it looks like.
He knows all of it, right. And so
anytime
no
you
mistake.
can bring back some 93 and 94 and 92 type memories, I mean, with the building blocks, everyone takes it for granted now. I was laughing with some people who are not young, right, and how they just think K-State football has been great forever.
Yeah. The good thing is he didn't even have to turn things around at Mizzou.
Right.
No, but can't be faked out. It's like you're running up to you're going down the highway, and all of a sudden there's 5 options. You're in Houston or Dallas. Don't take the wrong. 3 of them are good, one of them's poor, and one of them's a disaster. You've got to be able to see what makes sense.
Well,
that is, even when things are going well, you might be driving as fast as Rasheed Rice, but you better.
Wow.
I'm just saying fast.
That is fast.
But you got to make this decision. You cannot make the wrong decision. Things can be going well.
I would say
Kansas Speedway, let's call it Raceway.
One of the great things about both those places, too, is not only did they turn things around, then they stayed really good consistently year after year after year. And I remember Bill Snyder talking about how, in some ways, that's as big of a challenge as turning things around in the first place.
It's a bigger challenge than getting us to break on time. Back after this on Sports Radio 810 WHB. This is a song my mama used to sing to me when I was a little boy. That song made me happy, Jake. If you go to the YouTube video of Mizzou Athletics Laird Beach introduction, Jake, go to the 12:18 mark. And then we can play that when you get there. That's the, and you listen to, make no mistake, and that's right when he goes into football at the beginning of his opening remarks. So, again, we'll have Laird Veach, the new Mizzou AD, on the show today at 8:05, courtesy of Jake Gutierrez. So, now we can get into some of the draft. We had a chance to talk about the first-round pick last week, Stan, but we have not had a chance to get into the rest of the picks and what you thought of day 2 and day 3 of the draft for the Chiefs. Offensive line, no surprise, they went left tackle in the second round. What was your reaction to the young man they picked? Nate, you've perfected it. You say you don't need to look at anything. You've memorized it. Kingsley
Suamataia
from BYU.
Suamataia. Did I say that right?
I think so. I think we got it.
Say it again.
Suamataia. That's without me looking at it, but I think that's right.
Well, it's a great pick because they're excited about him. I mean, there's no way that I went down the list before the draft and said, oh, boy, this is the guy I like out of this group of offensive linemen and tackles. A lot of them were taken in the first round and in the second round. But if Andy Reid and those guys are excited about him, right now it's just so easy to analyze the Chiefs draft. If they think they're good, I'm see no reason why I would question that.
This guy can jump out of a pool, Stan.
That was impressive. I saw that.
I can barely get out of a pool with a ladder, so I'm really impressed by that.
Good explosion.
Right.
But he'll be taught well, and being a winning organization and ready to roll, they address the offensive line like you should. Draft the players, but in the right order. And so I'm very happy when you pick a guy like Jaden Hicks late. I mean, a value pick like that when you get in a fourth-round pick and you say, we've graded him so much higher than this, how could we not bring him in? I think that's how you build on a good team. Used to be, this thought of best player available. Remember that 15, 20 years ago? Just blindly, we make a board as if it's generically for any team in the league. This board will look the same for every team in the league. Here are the top 400 players in order. And then they just went to the board. Well, that makes no sense.
Those were lies.
Yeah, okay, but it makes no sense to talk in those terms because it does matter what you need. What one team needs and another is completely different. How the integration of a player into a locker room matters. Can you deal with this kind of mentality? Do you need more of this? All those things come in. But when the Chiefs are able to apply the focus that they did to go wide receiver, offensive tackle in their first 2 picks, that's pretty directed, right? But then, as you get later in the draft, you say, who's available? Isaiah Pacheco. Hey, I think he's a good running back. He could get things done. Let's pick him. Now you got a starting running back a couple of years later, an established NFL guy. And that's the kind of thing. You get a Jaden Hicks. He may not have been on the board as, that's a position we've got to get. But as you get into the middle and the latter part of the draft, that's where you pick that kind of thing up. And because the Chiefs are so good, they're not leaving a need unaddressed. They're just it doesn't matter which year they add a little more icing on the cake. You just get great players. And so I think it's, again, until otherwise, just like Jared Wiley, I don't think you make too big a deal about it. You don't say, this guy's going to be dominant and he has to be the next Travis Kelce. Don't put that pressure on anybody. We'll see who pops up and is a good tight end, but you just keep adding to the room. And here's a guy that I liked at TCU. Kind of under the radar because TCU had so many good players. Remember where they were 2 seasons ago, Stephen. It's hard to because guess what they did? Went 5-7 and didn't go to a bowl game this year, right? But the year before, he was on a team that was undefeated until K-State beat him in the Big 12 championship game, and they went to the national championship game. And think about the players that were a part of that team. Guys like Max Duggan, who aren't on your mind because they're not NFL-type stars or guys who are going to really get it done in the NFL appears, but there were a number of good players. Wiley was one of them. So you kind of take it for granted after he finished in a 5-7 season that he wasn't part of that group. Very excited about what he'll bring as well.
Not last year, but in 2022, in the regular season, he had 5 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown against K-State. Only 4 for 28 then in the rematch. And then he only had 1 catch against K-State last year. His best game by far was against Baylor, 7 for 178 and a couple of touchdowns. He had 2 touchdowns on the road against Oklahoma. I love the fact that they drafted a tight end, and that excites me very much.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and he has versatility.
Right.
He's big. You know, it starts got to be big and strong because even though he may not be wired to be a big-time blocker, the size will get him through the assignments he needs to have.
6'6", 250.
You know, so he'll be an inline tight end when he needs to be to block. He can be the wing when a 2 tight end set and block. You know, you're going to have to do those things, but you don't have to be great at that as a Chief. You know, you got to just be physical enough to get it done. One of the things that they have had great success with is a guy who started out as a quarterback and ends up playing tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. You got to know what's going on. You got to read the coverages, be on the same page. What was our theme for much of the year last year? The big theme of mine is they're not on the same page as Patrick Mahomes. His receivers are not seeing the game the same way he is. That was the mistake. They just weren't on the same page. Well, Blake Bell, the belldozer at Oklahoma, right? Travis Kelce, quarterback at Cincinnati. And Wiley, he was at the University of Texas. He came in as a quarterback originally. So that kind of theme runs through there again. Doesn't mean he's going to be a star, but he'll add to the group.
Played tight end and quarterback at Temple High School in Temple, Texas. We'll take a break back after this on WHB.
The Border Patrol is presented by Walker Medical Linen Services, locally owned and operated, and HLAC certified, meeting the highest industry standards. Walker has partnerships with hospitals, surgery centers, and medical clinics in and around the metro area. Walker Medical Linen Services in Kansas City and online at walkermls.com.
Welcome back to the show. Okay, I got a couple of clips I want to play. Do you have that Laird Veach when this is one of his opening remarks right when he went to the podium as he was introduced as a new AD last week at Mizzou?
This is not only a homecoming for my wife Brandy and I, but we are so fortunate to be here now. This Mizzou momentum thing is very real, and I can't wait to be a part of it. Let me be very direct from the beginning. There's nothing more important than football success, particularly in this conference. Coach Drink, I can't wait to partner with you on what you're doing. Coach Drink, keep it going. Keep it going. I know we have a lot of success in many of our sports, our Olympic sports and others. You'll see Brandy and I at everything, supporting everything, and we can't be wait to be a part of it.
That's like right off the bat. Football success, Coach Drink, and then encouraging. Come on, everyone. Applaud. Cheer for him.
Applause sign.
Coach Drake, can't wait to work with you. Coach Drake, shout out.
Hey, man.
Drake's sitting back there.
That's right.
That's right.
You get it.
Go on. so, yeah. Stan, just something you've been trying to tell people for years and years. It's football's world. We're just living in it when it comes to college sports, man. Football.
Yeah, and it's not anything to do with my preferences of how this is going to play out. It's just the realities of where the money flows from is television, and football is the great television sport. And it's so many things about it. You know them all. You pull in this fan for this reason and that fan for that reason. But it is, I think, awesome that even from so many different aspects, you can get your arms around it because it's once a week. You don't get overwhelmed. How many times do you get busy and hear, the Royals won 2 out of 3, or you're on a 4-game winning streak or something? Oh, yeah, I saw one of those games, heard a couple of scores, but are you engaged? Think about the Chiefs. 17 games, and there are a ton of people who don't have time to track all sports or even some sports who might watch every single play of every single Chiefs game. And then when Sunday Night Football comes on and you're getting ready for the week, how many people just say, I think I'm going to turn on Sunday Night Football? There's only 32 teams. Fantasy football, everyone knows them. And then it just goes back to college when you think about the tailgating, the game day, the connectivity with all your friends. Football just had such an advantage, and I knew it when I was very young because all my elders who love sports, no surprise, right? Where did I come from? They talked about the greatness of baseball, totally appreciated football, no negative statements about football, but baseball was the biggest thing. But they also talked a lot about boxing and what it meant. Those big fights were a giant deal to them. Who was the heavyweight champion of the world was a subject that sports fans would talk about all the time. And I just saw, and I go, football's going to blow right past these things. Yeah, I could just tell it right away because they loved it in football season, but they'd still talk about baseball because check out the number of calendar days baseball